Hey there everyone, Foxyfern here, and today I wanted to talk to you about some of the most asked questions that I see on the professional animator subreddit and just kind of all over the internet. You may have heard answers to these questions before, but it never hurts to get another opinion. So I just wanted to take a look at these questions and give you answers based on my personal experience and knowledge of being in the industry. If you like this type of content and want to see more, please hit that like button as it really helps out the channel. So the first most common question that I hear everywhere is, do I need a degree to be an animator? The answer is a resounding no. 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 Nope. No. No. You do not need a degree to become a professional animator. However, as far as education goes, that you need to determine for yourself. If you've never had any education beyond high school, it might be good to go to a college of some sort to learn a little bit of discipline. Going to school can also be valuable for other experiences. For instance, I went to school in Vancouver for a year and I absolutely loved my experience there. But I would say that overall, iAnimate.net was actually a better training for me as far as pushing me to the next level of being an animator. I also got more bang for the buck because 1 year of intensive animation training at Van Arts was $21,000 US back in the day. iAnimate was at the time $1,000 for a 14-week course, and I was being taught by people who were current professionals in the industry versus a brick and mortar school like Van Arts. You're going to get people that were probably animators in the past but are no longer. I would recommend that if you are looking into any sort of education whatsoever, know who the teachers are. Look up their demo reels, look up their resumes, see what kind of work they've done in the past and if that aligns with the type of stuff that you want to do. If you can't afford actual training, there are tons of free resources on the internet these days. God, I wish that stuff had been available to me back when I was learning animation. So don't be afraid to look up tutorials online. I hope maybe you can find something to learn from some of my videos, and I'm always open to interact with people and get suggestions from you on what type of content to make next. On the hiring side of things, we are always looking at somebody's demo reel before we even check out their resume. If their demo reel doesn't pass, we don't even care about their what experience was. Never in my experience of looking to hire somebody have we cared if somebody had an official animation degree. Going to school can give you connections, both online or in person, and this could help you get a job sometime in the future. You could end up working with one of your classmates or even your teacher. So because of that fact alone, I would recommend some sort of official online training at the very least. Another very common question I see online is, am I too old to learn animation? Again, a resounding no. I know it can be pretty intimidating when you're trying to learn a new skill and enter a new industry when the majority of people doing that same thing are going to be potentially a lot younger than you. One important key factor though is that often adults are going to learn faster when we're older than our younger, not because our brains are more intact, because they ain't, but it's because we might be more motivated and more focused than our 20-year-old selves. As an adult, we got bills to pay, families to raise, so we can be more motivated to learn better and faster than we were 10, 20 years ago. When I was one of those younger kids who weren't taking things as seriously as I should have, I had a classmate who at the time was 37 years old, and he was in the same boat as me learning how to do animation. Case in point, he was way more dedicated to his work than I was at the time, and he very quickly moved up in the ranks and has been an animation director at Rainmaker for quite some time now. How do you get your first job? The number one thing is apply, apply, apply. Never be too scared to apply for a position, no matter what the requirements are. I mean, okay, maybe you don't want to waste your time applying for animation director positions when you haven't even been an animator at all. But, one thing that I was encountering in the game industry is that every single position that I was applying for, they all wanted you to have shipped a AAA title before. Well, I hate to break it to you, but there are a lot of people in the game industry that never get to ship a title. Basically, they're just trying to weed out the people who aren't even gonna bother. No one is going to blacklist you for applying to a job that you're not eligible for. I would also recommend not being too picky. You're likely not going to get your dream job straight out of school. I have heard of people where that is the case for them, but 95% of the time, that's not the case. So think about your stepping stones to get to where you want to be. I'd also recommend trying to make as many connections as you can. Reddit, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, 11 Second Club, Anim Challenge, Agora Studio. There's all sorts of stuff popping up everywhere, and you can just start to talk to people, comment on videos, talk to other people that are watching videos, that are watching streams, connect with them, get feedback from people, and eventually those connections could turn into something greater. So another question that is often asked when applying for jobs is, how long should my demo reel be and what should I put on it? If you've heard me answer this question before, I'm gonna sound like a broken record to you, but I stand by this statement that it is better to have 30 seconds of great animation than 2 minutes of mediocre animation. Why is this? The main factor is you should put your best work at the front of your reel. That way you're grabbing the attention of people in the studio and catching their interest. But no matter how good your work is, chances are after 30 seconds, they're gonna be done watching your stuff. So what if you saved your best, most awesome piece till the end of your reel, but that was at minute 1:45, they're not gonna see it. So make sure to keep your demo reel short and put your best work on the front. The key is to leaving people wanting to see more, not getting bored. As far as the type of work that should be on your demo reel, you want to try and tailor it towards what jobs you're applying for. So if you're trying to go for games, you want to put some body mechanics on there, maybe some cycles like walk cycles, run cycles, probably some kind of death animation or attack combo, that sort of stuff, just to show people that you have a real sense of physicality. However, if your goal is to work in a mobile game studio, then you're going to want to have more cartoony stuff, over the top, stretch and squash, cutesy little characters on your reel. For films or television, more dialogue pieces, more character emotion, demonstrating that you can do a lot of facial animation and that sort of thing. Put those on the front of your demo reel if you're applying for a job where that is the focus. Is the industry as bad as everyone says it is? Well, that depends. I do not like the saying,
if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life.
It doesn't matter how great of an animation job you've landed, there are going to be days where you're not so excited about what you're working on, and you are doing it because you have to, not because you want to. But that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're not passionate. That just means we have good days and we have bad days. As far as like crunch, the industry has been notoriously bad the last decade, especially with like the larger companies, but it's changing for the better. Generally, the smaller company you work for, the less likely you're going to have to work grueling hours, but then the trade-off is you're probably not going to get paid as much. Regardless of having been through a lot of mandatory crunches in my time, I'd still rather be doing animation than anything else. So whenever you do land that interview, and you will, what will you be asked and what should you ask? Always do your research on a studio before going into your interview. When you're just throwing out all your applications here and there, I wouldn't say you need to like do a huge amount of research. Do just like a tiny bit to make sure that like you can plug something in your cover letter to just say like, oh hey, this is cool, but just like, you know, one little sentence of information is all you need to know. Then when you get called for an interview, make sure you do some extensive research on that company. You'll probably be asked questions like the classic, you know,
why should we hire you?
Things like experience, what's your favorite project you've worked on, what's your least favorite project you've worked on. If you haven't had a job before, you can talk about student projects or personal projects. What are some challenges you experienced and how did you overcome those challenges, both in a technical standpoint and sometimes you might be asked that in a social standpoint with other peers. My personal favorite question that I always ask How would you make the animation better in the games? How would you make animation better in this film? So you want to be able to have an idea of what is the work that they've done and think about, what do you really like about the animation that you've seen? What do you want to do to make it better? What excites you about improving that project? So the question you've all been waiting for is, can I make money? And for that, the answer is the resounding no. Just kidding. Yes, you can make money. I feel like the days of starving artists are mostly in the past. If you work for an actual studio, they will almost always pay you a living wage. In some places, though, that are more expensive, such as Seattle or San Francisco, this may require you to have a long commute, or you might have to have roommates. You'll likely not become rich as an animator, but you can totally have enough to live comfortably. I have many colleagues who have families, but they're not living in mansions or taking extravagant vacations. The amount of money you make is totally going to depend on professional level, location, and like whether it's a full-time job or a contract or something like that. Generally, if you are taking a contract position, you should ask for approximately 20% more than you would for a full-time salaried position, because you have to save up money for the possibility that you might be unemployed for a while, and you're going to have to pay for your own health insurance, your own time off, that sort of thing. So generally ask for 20 to 30% more for a contract position than you would for a salaried position. So, all this being said, is it worth it? Unfortunately, that's only a question that you can answer. For me, yes, absolutely. Has it been easy? No. It's so hard. There have been times throughout my life that I have definitely questioned my decisions. But being where I'm at now and looking back on the struggles that I've been through in the last 10 years, I don't think I would change it for anything. I really love what I do, even though I have off days, and I just don't think I'd be happy doing anything else. Some days it can be really hard to just put yourself out there and let other people critique you, and sometimes you feel like it's an attack on yourself if someone doesn't like your work, but you gotta get over that because everybody has a different opinion, and chances are it's all in your head anyway, because it definitely is for me. It will be a lot of hard work, and you do have to humble yourself in order to take feedback. Our last and most terrifying question is, what if I fail?
Failure is not an option.
No, but in all seriousness, if you're really passionate about it, you're going to find a way. And I can't tell you when that's going to happen or how that's going to happen, because everybody's path is completely different. Your friend might land a job in 3 months, and for you, it takes 3 years. Don't let that bring you down. That doesn't mean that you're not good, that you're not worthy of the job. Sometimes it's just a matter of timing and the right fit. If you have the persistence, passion, and willingness to humble yourself to take criticism, eventually you're going to find something. If you decide it's not for you, that's fine. There's no shame in that. But if you truly want this, eventually you'll find a way. And if you do decide that this path isn't for you, you still haven't failed, because you've grown, you have tried something new, and you've learned a lot about yourself along the way. You've probably also gained a whole bunch of new skills that maybe you can apply to your next venture. At the end of the day, just don't give up. It's not an easy industry to get into, and there's a lot of competition. All you gotta do is beat out the passion of the person next to you. So those are my responses to the most common questions that I see online about animation. I hope you found something useful from my takeaway of these things. Now, about that starving artist thing, if you want to help support the channel, I have started a Patreon. Anyone who becomes a patron has access to a private channel on Discord where you can be certain that I will respond to any questions in a timely manner. In some of the higher tiers, this will allow me to offer some one-on-one tutoring. We'll also have a monthly live stream where you can ask me questions in real time and learn from questions that other people are asking. These are just a few of the perks that I'm offering, so please go check out the Patreon page. And I appreciate you being here even if that's not something you're interested in. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and until next time, stay foxy.